Guys, if you were to tell me you're going to be invested in a documentary about high school seniors that are running fake political platforms and you are going to like root for them by the end, yeah, I'd call you crazy. But it's the truth. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today we're taking a look at the A24 and Apple TV Plus documentary Boys State. It's an incredibly interesting documentary, and when I see A24, I immediately am hooked. And let me tell you guys, if you're a fan of A24 and you know about those movies that they usually put out there uncomfortable, they make your skin crawl, this one kind of does that, just in a different way. Now, before I get into my review, guys, if it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I talk about movies and TV just like this. So if you want to hear about more reviews and see some reactions, go ahead and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel, and tap on that bell so you stay up to date with anything new. Now smash that like button if you haven't already, and go ahead and comment down below and let me know if you're going to watch this on Apple TV Plus. It's an interesting exclusive documentary that A24 is producing. Now, one more bit of housekeeping, guys. Tomorrow, Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, I'm dropping my review for Project Power on Netflix with Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's about taking a pill and you turn into a superhero. I don't know too much about it, but maybe that'll benefit me in the end, so I can't wait to drop that review for you guys. Okay, so let's get right into Boys State. If you don't know much about this documentary, the summary is a week-long annual program where 1,000 Texas high school seniors gather for a mock exercise. They're building their own state government, and they're separated in two different parties. There's the Nationalist and the Federalist parties. And let me tell you something, these high school seniors are much smarter than you're going to give them credit for at the beginning. By the end of this thing, I was hooked. Now, the story chooses to focus on 5 of these high school seniors, starting with Ben, who has something to prove. He's not shy and letting you know that he's come from a hard time as a child. He's an amputee and he's had to go through a lot of challenges. And in this documentary, you can tell that he's not afraid to let you know about that, but he wants to show you that he's more than his disability. And I think that's a really cool angle for him. Eventually, he becomes the outspoken, I would say more right-wing kind of politician. But yeah, it is just an interesting kind of arc that you see his character go from the beginning all the way to the end. And then there's Steven, who I believe is the most interesting of the 5 that they chose to focus on. He's more of a progressive candidate, and he's running for the most coveted position at this Boys State Academy of sorts. Governor. He's grounded. He's the son of an immigrant mother who is definitely working tooth and bone for her family. It's something to behold, honestly, because this kid is wiser than his age. He is so smart, and he knows how to play to an audience without compromising his values. And then there's Robert, who's loud, he's egotistical, and you can just tell that he's that, I don't know, frat-ish kind of guy, even though he's still in high school. But you start to understand really the core of his character, and there's a very interesting moment between him and Steven when they're both running for governor of the Nationalist Party, and it is such a great and genuine moment between them. When you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean, but you can just tell that Robert sacrifices his needs for the greater good, and I do kind of like that about his character. And then there's Rene. Now, I know I said Steven is the most interesting of the bunch, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think Rene is my favorite. Not only is he confident, he is so smart, and he does not back down for anyone. There are moments where he is definitely unwilling to accept unfair criticism, and you can tell he goes headstrong, but he's calculated. And I love that Rene has the framework for an amazing politician, but there is a line that he says, "A fantastic politician is not always a compliment." So I do like that Rene understands both sides, being a regular citizen and being a politician. And then lastly, there's Eddie, who is running for governor against Steven towards the end. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, they didn't focus much on Eddie, but I'm really thinking that he was more of a jumping off point for giving more exposure to Ben. So Eddie gets the shortest end of the stick here, but I still think it's worth the time that you spend getting to know him. And then when you put all that together, guys, it just makes for a really good and interesting documentary, because this mock exercise is fake, okay? There's nothing real about these elections, but by the end of the movie, I found myself rooting for a certain candidate, and it felt real. And it's particularly gripping because of the way that this documentary was shot. It has a very cinematic feel, and you can tell that the sequencing of shots complemented the narrative. There's no voiceover. It's strictly only audio you get from your main actors or natural sound. So it is beautiful to see how this documentary was put together. Now, Boys State also felt really timely, and I get it. I'm not just saying that because you have the primary elections coming up and then you have the general in November, But this is really a documentary that dives into the faults in our political system. There's so much division, there's no unity. You can tell there are a few voices in this documentary that are trying to speak to unifying those on the left and those on the right, but unfortunately that doesn't necessarily happen towards the end. But what does happen is a change in perspective, because the thing is, this is the future, right? These kids are going to be the future generation that are running for offices in this land. So if this is the future, yes, there are some here that really made me kind of worried and uncomfortable. We'll get to that in a little bit. But then there are some candidates like Steven and Rene who are actually really smart and understand it's for the greater good, not just for their party. Okay, so now let's dive into why this is uncomfortable. No, this isn't Hereditary, and it's definitely not Midsommar. But what this is speaking to you as a human being. It's real, okay? Everything that happened here happened in real life. And some of the rhetoric that was spewed at these different debates was a little concerning. Some of the laws that they wanted to pass were half unrealistic and half truthful. Some of these kids believed what they were saying. And if that's the case, I'd be so scared. I mean, there were $15 billion budgets trying to be passed for defense spending against UFOs. And I have to ask you a question here. $15 billion? Oh my gosh, that's a little excessive. But it's not only about unrealistic laws like that that were trying to be passed. You have to look at some of the events that took place that actually felt really, really realistic. There's an Instagram account that was made in this that had some racist propaganda posted, and it was tough to stomach because these kids felt this. You know, this wasn't scripted, and no, this wasn't acted. This is just raw emotion. So I felt uncomfortable for some of these characters and mad for them. See, the thing is, this movie made me feel. And when something makes you feel, whether it be a documentary or a film, I think it's successful. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, there were some moments where it was dry. So if you are not a fan of politics, I'm sorry, this might not be for you. However, I do suggest you go into this with an open mind, because there are gonna be areas that are gonna appeal to you, and it's gonna tug on your heartstrings a little bit. I almost cried at the end. I can't lie to you guys. And if you're a sucker for statistics, you're gonna see that this is an hour and 40 documentary. Some might actually get turned off by that, but for me, I didn't worry about the time. And when it ended, I thought, oh man, there's not more to this documentary. I want to see what's next. And maybe we will see some of these kids in office, who knows? But it's going to be an interesting kind of look back, I guess 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road for some of these high school seniors. So Boys State is gripping, it's entertaining, and it's incredibly educational, because I genuinely had no idea that this mock experiment existed. But what I will tell you is, even though Boys State focused on the division in American politics, towards the end, when you understand the core of each of these kids that they spotlighted, I think towards the end you start to realize, whoa, if I can understand where they're coming from, then maybe I can work with them. So I believe there's hope for a unified nation, and hopefully hope for a unified world. And that's what Boys State kind of inspired me to feel towards the end. And honestly, that means it was a job well done. So yes, guys, I recommend Boys State. You should watch it on Apple TV Plus if you get a chance. It's going to be worth your time, and I really do believe you're going to come away impacted by it. But hey, don't let me do all the talking. Let me know what you think about Boys State when you see it. Go ahead and comment down below, and don't forget to smash that like button. If you haven't already, consider subscribing by hitting the big red button below so you get more movie reviews, TV reviews, and reactions kind of like this. Alrighty, you guys, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish writing my speech. I'm running for governor. First order of business, National Movie Day. Free movies for everyone. That's going to be really hard to pass. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.